Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. And buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into a world where magic is like as normal as checking your phone.
Though you might want to watch out for those notification sounds. Could be a talking dragon.
Right. Imagine getting a text from a drive-in. But actually, that's kind of what we're getting into today with, well, not dragon text exactly, but we're diving into this collection of excerpts, these little snippets from the Ellie Witch book series.
Yeah, it's this really cool glimpse into the life of Holly McNee, this teenager just trying to navigate, the usual high school stuff, crushes, homework, all that, except with a magical twist.
It's giving Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but make it LA, right? So, for this deep dive, think of us as your magical tour guides. We'll break down who Holly is, what she's up against, and hopefully uncover a little magic along the way. Ready to get started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that really struck me about these excerpts is how they blend the ordinary with the extraordinary.
Totally. Like, 1 minute Holly's trying to pass a history test, the next she's like face to face with a talking raven delivering cryptic messages. It's that perfect mix of relatable and like, wait, what just happened?
And the humor. Remember that excerpt where Holly's trying to explain to her English teacher why her friend Brian keeps, well, basically disappearing into thin air?
Oh, Brian. Gotta love him, the resident skeptic, always trying to find a logical explanation for the unexplainable, even when there's like a magical being right in front of him. It's that classic Scooby-Doo trope, but with more spells and less Scooby snacks.
Speaking of the gang, we can't forget about Holly's friends. Every witch needs her coven, right? We've got Tiffany, the ever-loyal bestie who later discovers her own magical lineage.
Plot twist. Who doesn't love a good origin story? And then there's Natasha, who starts off as, like, Miss Popularity, but gets pulled into Holly's world.
It's that whole opposites attract, except instead of a love story, it's about magic and, I don't know, maybe learning to levitate things instead of gossiping about who's dating who.
Maybe both. Don't forget, this is LA we're talking about. But let's not forget the other characters who bring so much life to these excerpts. Like Wanda and Jasmine. They add this whole other layer of like warmth and humor and really highlight how family isn't always about blood, but about the connections we choose.
Especially when you're facing down, well, shadowy organizations and ancient prophecies and all that.
Right, because it's not all sunshine and spell books in Holly's world. Things get a little, shall we say, intense.
You're talking about the dragons, aren't you?
Who could forget the dragons? And that whole twice dragon thing, it's like, what does it even mean? Is it a warning, a prophecy? Do we need to stock up on dragon repellent? Okay, maybe not that last one.
We're still trying to figure that out ourselves, but one thing's for sure, the dragons in this world, they're not just fire-breathing myths. They're woven into the fabric of magic itself.
Talk about high stakes. But it's not just dragons Holly has to worry about, right? There's that whole mysterious organization, the Order. And let me tell you, they are not here to play nice.
They're like that constant threat, always lurking in the shadows. We don't get a ton of info about them in these excerpts, but just their presence adds this layer of suspense, like, you know something's coming, but you don't know when or where.
Okay, so we've got teenage drama, magical powers, dragons, a secret society out to get our protagonist. What's next? Oh, right, just a dash of Arthurian legend for good measure.
The Excalibur connection is pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking this ancient myth and dropping it right into modern-day LA.
It's giving Percy Jackson meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and honestly, I am here for it.
And it makes you wonder, what does it mean that Excalibur has resurfaced in Holly's world? What role is she destined to play?
So many questions, but I guess that's what makes a deep dive so much fun, right? It's all about unraveling those mysteries one excerpt at a time.
Absolutely. So to recap, we've got Holly, an average teenager who discovers she's a witch, except her life is anything but ordinary. She's got loyal friends, a magical world full of wonder and danger.
Oh, and let's not forget, she might be the key to saving the world, or at least the magical part of it. No pressure, Holly.
Right. And all this before prom.
Okay, so we've got dragons, secret societies, a touch of Arthurian legend, and did I mention the cryptic messages? Because, yeah, there's a whole lot of mystery swirling around this twice dragon thing.
Right. It keeps popping up almost like a whisper, a secret code that everyone seems to know except us.
And honestly, it's kind of driving me crazy. Like, is it a good thing, a bad thing? Should we be worried?
Well, it's definitely connected to those powerful dragons we were talking about, but the exact meaning, it's still up for interpretation.
Which, you gotta admit, adds to the whole intrigue of this world.
Exactly, and it makes you think about the nature of magic itself, like is it something that can be controlled, contained?
Right. Because with great power comes, well, you know the rest.
Exactly. And these excerpts, they don't shy away from those tough questions, those ethical dilemmas that come with wielding such a force.
Yeah, it's like one minute you're levitating your pencil, the next you're accidentally turning your neighbor's cat into a, I don't know, a griffin.
A rather unfortunate, but you get the point. Magic in this world, it has consequences. Every spell, every incantation, it creates ripples that extend far beyond the initial act.
It's that whole butterfly effect thing, but with more magic dust and maybe a few rogue sparks.
Precisely. And it makes you realize that even in a world of wonder and enchantment, there needs to be balance, a respect for the power that's being wielded.
Which is where that whole family theme comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because let's be real, everyone needs someone to have their back, especially when you're dealing with ancient prophecies and dragon-related dilemmas.
Absolutely. Throughout these excerpts, we see Holly leaning on her friends, her chosen family, for support, for guidance, for those much-needed moments of laughter amidst the chaos.
It's that whole found family trope, and honestly, who doesn't love a good found family? It's that reminder that sometimes the strongest bonds are forged in the fires of, well, magical trials and tribulations.
And it's not just her friends. We also start to get glimpses of Holly's relationship with her parents, particularly her father, who has this whole mysterious past.
Right. It's like, where has he been all these years, and what does his return mean for Holly and her own journey?
It's clear he has deep ties to this magical world, but the excerpts only give us these tiny hints, these breadcrumbs, leading us further down the rabbit hole.
Speaking of rabbit holes, can we talk about the Scepter of Odin for a second? Because that's just, wow, talk about a power move.
Right, it's like pulling something straight out of Norse mythology and dropping it right into the middle of this already magical world. It makes you wonder, what kind of power does it hold?
And then there's the Orb of Alexander. I mean, we're talking about Alexander the Great here, right? The guy who conquered like half the known world.
It's like having the ultimate history book, but instead of just reading about the past, you can actually see it, experience it.
Talk about information overload. And let's not forget those hidden libraries. I mean, come on, who doesn't love a good secret library? It's like every bookworm's dream.
Imagine the knowledge those libraries hold, the ancient spells, the forgotten histories. It's like a treasure trove waiting to be discovered.
Okay, but here's the thing. We've got artifacts, libraries, but what about those prophecies? Because, prophecies always have a way of shaking things up. Prophecies, right. It's like trying to read tea leaves after they've been through a blender. Are we talking vague warnings, or is it more like this date, this time, be prepared for?
It's more like these glimpses, these fractured images of what might be, and honestly, it's kind of terrifying. There's this one recurring thing about a binding, this powerful spell holding some kind of balance in check, and if it breaks, well, let's just say it wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, we're not talking about just a few magical mishaps here, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about like world-ending, reality-altering stuff.
Exactly. And it all seems to revolve around these dragons. Like they're this force of nature, and this binding is the only thing keeping them, well, bound.
Okay, so not just your average fire-breathing lizards then, more like cosmically powerful, reality-bending dragons? No pressure, Holly. But the excerpts, they don't exactly give us a step-by-step guide on how to save the world, do they?
Nope. More like a trail of breadcrumbs, just enough to get you interested, but you're left wanting, the whole loaf.
That's what we're here for, though, right? To put on our detective hats, dust off our magnifying glasses, and see if we can crack the code.
Right. It's like a giant puzzle, and we've got these pieces scattered across the excerpts. We know there's a champion mentioned, someone destined to, well, champion the cause, and whispers of ancient powers resurfacing.
It's giving Chosen One vibes, and let's be honest, who doesn't secretly hope they're the Chosen One? But seriously, even with all these unanswered questions, what are some key takeaways we can, pocket for our own journeys, magical or not?
I think the biggest one, the one that resonates most, is that idea of embracing the unknown. Because Holly, she's constantly throwing curveballs, right? Things she never could have predicted, but she keeps going. She adapts, she learns, and she even manages to find moments of joy amidst the chaos.
That's what makes her such a compelling character, right? She's not fearless, she's not perfect, she's just trying to figure things out, one spell, one dragon encounter at a time.
Exactly. And isn't that kind of like life itself? We don't always have the answers. Things don't always go according to plan. But it's that willingness to keep going, to keep learning and growing that really matters.
It's about finding that courage, that spark within yourself, to face whatever comes your way. And who knows, maybe that's where the real magic lies. Not in spells and potions, but in our own resilience, our own ability to embrace the unknown and find those moments of wonder even when things get a little, well, chaotic.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to everyone listening, next time you're facing a challenge, remember Holly. Remember her courage, her curiosity, and her unwavering belief in the power of, well, herself. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover a little magic of your own along the way.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on this magical deep dive into the world of LA Witch. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations sparking.